Hello, and welcome to the DocMo Show, where we explore the secrets to mastering your health naturally so that successful and driven people like you can feel your absolute best and even feel like yourself again and truly thrive both personally and professionally. I'm your host, Dr. Angela Mosley, but most people just call me DocMo. On today's episode, we have a very special guest, Kristal Holmes, who is the founder and CEO of GoHardChick.com, a lifestyle brand and community that inspires women to be strong, confident, and healthy. And y'all, you have got to see this woman's website. Her pictures and her transformation, literally my mouth was wide open. So if you're listening to this only and not seeing the video, I highly recommend that you go look at her website. I mean, amazing. She's literally been on magazine covers. Kristal is an expert in fitness and wellness and has helped countless women improve their health and transform their lives through her online programs, coaching, and her podcast, Go Hard Chick. And we're so lucky because today she'll be sharing her insights and expertise on how to make fitness and healthy living a priority, even when you're short on time or struggling with motivation. Stay tuned because this episode is for you. Help me in welcoming today's guest, Kristal Holmes. Hi, Kristal. How are you today? Good to see you. I'm so glad you're here.
Hello, Dr. Mo. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
I know. I'm glad we met and our paths actually crossed. And it's so amazing what you do. So your website is called Go Hard Chick. Like literally go hard, HARDCHICK, chick. Can you tell us more about what inspired you to create this brand, what this brand stands for, and what you hope to accomplish through it? I know that's a long question and kind of packed, but
Okay, I'm thrilled to answer that question. I back in 2008, 2009, I just found myself lost. I was super stressed out. The truth is, my day job, I'm an attorney. So I was super stressed out. I had put on weight. I was an emotional eater. I mean, I still am. And I just didn't know how to cope with all of the stress and the things around me. And looking back now, I realized there was some trauma that I was dealing with as well. But of course, the first thing I wanted to take care of was my body. I didn't like the way I looked. So I tried a lot of things and I failed. I tried a lot of the fad diets. I failed. The juice fast, the this, the that. I mean, you name it, I tried it. And one day I was inspired. My brother got married, and at his wedding, I saw my childhood friend, actually my god sister. I hadn't seen her in a long time. And she was 40 years old and she looked amazing. And I was just like, Sean, like, what do you do? And she said, it's simple. I just find a way to stay active and I try to eat healthy. And so she was really what really inspired me. And I just kind of came back from that wedding and just hit the ground running. I hired a personal trainer. And while my weight started to change, and that was something I expected, what I didn't expect was how I would feel emotionally. Like the stress started to go away. I was happier and I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And so people took notice. That might be a long answer to your question, but
it
people
was a
started
long
to take
question.
people started to take notice, and strangers, and I would share things. This is when obviously Instagram 2011, 2012 was very, very new. And I would just post pictures of me working out, or I did do a few bodybuilding competitions back then. And people just started asking, hey, can you help me? And at first it was like, no, that's not what I do. And a friend of mine said, well, maybe Kristal, maybe you should help them. And that's basically how Go Hard Chick was born. I People just started asking me for help, and just through the love of, health and wellness, that's how I started. That's it in a nutshell.
Nice. I mean, that story is just amazing how it just kind of organically happened for you. You had the desire to change yourself, and then it just happened. Okay, well, I can help other people too. And I mean, I think that's probably the best way to help people is when you've done it and you've been through it yourself. So now that you've had the brand for a while, what do you want your clients to get out of it? Is there something underlying kind of that transformation that you hope for them to get also? You talk about mindset shifts and things like that. Where are people coming in? Where's their mindset when they first begin, and then where does it end up, or where would you hope that their mindset will end up?
That's a great question, because when I started this, I didn't realize the real importance of mindset. And now, having been at it for some years now, I really see that that is the key. If we don't have our minds right, whether it's for healthy eating, for weight loss, maybe you want to start a podcast, maybe you want, I don't know, a new job. If you don't have your mindset right, it's very hard to make that transformation and transition. So the first thing, absolutely, and I try to teach everybody, whether that's my one-on-one clients, um, people listening to my podcast, is that we have to work on the mind first. And if your mindset isn't there, that's okay. It doesn't have to be there immediately, but it's something we have to work towards. Because
Yeah.
if you don't have the mindset right, chances are you're not going to get the results that you want.
I absolutely agree because even in what I do, if you don't get your mindset there and get yourself to a place where you want to do it and where it's going to be your lifestyle and not a task and a chore to do these things, I mean, it just makes the whole process a lot harder. And like you said, you don't have to be there when you first start, but that's another thing to work on is your perspective and how you're going to approach your health in general. Now, clearly, you have transformed yourself to be quite a fit person. But lots of people feel afraid or intimidated or even overwhelmed by the idea of getting in the gym or whatever space you're using to get fit. So, I want to know what are some of the common misconceptions that people have about fitness and exercise that maybe they don't have to feel so intimidated about the whole thing?
Right, right. I mean, I was there. I remember when I first joined a gym, I just joined as a member, and I would never approach the weights. I would never go near that section of the gym. I was intimidated. I felt like that's just for men. And it wasn't until I got a personal trainer who introduced me to that I realized that women can do this too, you know? So there's a women, the misconception is one big thing with weight in general or bodybuilding is that women shouldn't do it, women are going to look too bulky, and that is absolutely not true. I recognize that a lot of women may not want to look like me, but you don't have to. You don't have to go that far. But we need muscle, particularly as we age. Muscle is protective. I joke, and people ask me to this day if I'm going to do another competition again. And I'm like, no, I continue to lift weights so I can lift myself up off the toilet. Point blank. I want to still be active. I'm an older mom. I still want to, play tennis with my daughter. I still want to do those things. So that's the importance of maintaining
Yeah.
muscle. And you will not look like, too muscular if you're a woman.
Right. It sounds like you want to be functional, if nothing else.
Right.
And, I've seen it so many times in the hospital as people age. And, we're not talking that old as far as age. I've seen people in their 40s, 50s, 60s unable to care for themselves because, just that those habits and that lifestyle has taken its toll over time. And, one of the most impactful things that I think ever happened was the first day of medical school. So, what happened the first day of school was, and I mean, obviously, we had some really wise professors in the school. So they had all these centenarians, people who were 100 years old or older, like running the room, and they were active and jumping and dancing and laughing. And I was like, and the whole point was that you don't have to be sick, you don't have to be frail, you don't have to break down in your body just because the time on the calendar has moved forward. You can still be healthy and vibrant and feel good in your body. And, there's all these talks and chatter about, oh, don't get old. If you get old, you're going to have all these aches and pains. Oh, this is all because you got older. But I don't think age has anything to do with it. It's really the lifestyle you choose to assume. And it sounds like you are doing just that and helping other people do the same.
Yeah, I just want to motivate and inspire, women in particular that, you can still live a healthier and fuller life. It doesn't matter your age, or what you do, especially, a lot of the women that I help look a lot like me. They're career women. They are very driven. They may have children and they put themselves dead last. And so they're depleted. And a lot of times that's, if we're not careful, that's when illness starts.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened to me as well. So, I try to encourage women to, you got to put yourself first, prioritize yourself first. And then you could be the best mom, you can be the best doctor, professional, wife that you can be.
Now, that in a way sounds easier said than done for probably a lot of people. So tell me about this because, we talked and you, even though you made a lot of progress, you even had a setback. So what does that look like? How does that factor in? How did you finally get to the place where you truly understood put yourself first? Because, like, yeah, we say it, but what does that mean? What does that look like?
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned, when I well, right before I started Go Hard Chick, I was stressed out. I was eating all the wrong stuff. And then, I had this miraculous transformation. I was feeling great. And about a year or two later, I had my daughter. I got right back on track. I'm exercising and all of that. And in 2016, I accepted a new position. And I knew DocMo that I was going to fall off of my self-care routine. I knew it. And I kept saying to myself, I don't know if I'm going to take this opportunity because of that. I wouldn't say that out loud because I thought my peers would think I was crazy. Who would turn down this position, this opportunity, because they're concerned about keeping up with their gym time? I mean, and that's the truth. And I mentioned it to a friend of mine, a colleague, and he was just like, "Are you crazy? You better take that job." So I did. I took the job, and it was a slow slide back into the extreme stress.
Mm.
I couldn't find time for myself. I'm trying to go to the gym on my lunch hour, but you know how that is. And I looked up in 2019 and I saw a flash of where I was back in 2009. I'm looking at myself. I'm not sleeping at night. I'm grinding my teeth again. I'm angry. I'm stressed out. The weight is coming back. And I said, Kristal, you know where this is going. So in early 2020, I said, okay, I found myself a new gym. I'm getting back on track. And I go in for my yearly exam. And long story short, I find out I have an autoimmune disease.
Mm.
So then I had to go through that journey of healing myself. And Now, if I didn't get it before, see, before it was really just about the weight, and yeah, I felt great. But now I understand that if we don't, we as women and we as people, if we don't get this under control, we will find ourselves like me with an autoimmune disease, diabetes, I
Hmm.
mean, cancer. I mean, there's so many things. So that is my mission and my message, and kind of why I started the podcast. I want women to be informed. I want us to, you got to find that time each day or 3 days a week or whatever it is to take care of you.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really powerful because I think people are more in the moment and thinking about the moment when you're busy and when you have a lot going on. It's like, I don't have time to think about that. I can do it later, all this, later mindset. And the impact can be very real and very right now and today. You don't know when that diagnosis, like you mentioned, can hit, and it can hit at any time, and it usually hits at the worst time and hits very unexpectedly. And I think it ties exactly into why and how to put yourself first and how to start thinking about it, because those issues can come for anybody. Even working in the hospitals, you see people in their 30s with heart attacks, 20 somethings with cancer. That's the level of seriousness that we're at in our society, and just how we're living, how stressed we are, how much demands we have on our bodies, how little we're nourishing ourselves properly, and how little time we're giving ourselves to heal and recover. So it's a serious situation out here, and people in their 40s, like on a regular basis, this is not just a one off thing, but every week we're getting people in their 40s with strokes. 40s. I mean, it is mind boggling the level of health conditions that you're seeing. So it's really serious and not just about, oh, yeah, I need to lose some weight and I just feel bad. I mean, it's creating some serious problems for people. And if, like you said, if you want to be there for your family and take care of your family and the people you love and that you care about, or even if you don't have a family, do what you're put on the earth to do. You got to take care of yourself first.
Right. And that's the thing. If I can do it, like I people look at me and they say, "Well, you must have ran track when you were young or so, whatever." And I did not. I mean, I wasn't. I mean, I did swim a little bit, but I wasn't a real athletic kind of kid. I mean, I had no idea that this would ever be something that I would ever do, right?
Hmm.
But I know that it's part of my calling to help others. So if I can share my story to help other women and to inspire them, and like I said, they don't have to look like me, but if you can just take a little bit of time each day and take care of yourself, whatever that looks like, whether it's yoga, whether it's going to the sauna. Of course, I think everybody needs to exercise. You could take a walk, whatever it is, clean up your diet. If you just take that time, you will notice some big differences.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that there are options. So, because I feel like people, think of exercise and they're like, oh, how, like you were saying, you got to go to the weights, and it's a single thought of this is what that's going to look like. But actually, we have a lot of flexibility in what we choose to do or how we choose to take on that role of getting fit. So, when you work with clients, do you help them see the options that they have and that, they can make it fit themselves and their own lifestyle?
Oh, absolutely. Because, like you said, there are numerous options. Of course, I love I love weightlifting. I love strength training, and I think doing some sort of strength training is important for the reasons I mentioned before. We lose muscle at an alarming rate, as we get older. However, most of the people I work with, they're not doing much of anything. So if it's a simple 30-minute walk around their neighborhood, let's start there. Maybe it's a spin class you enjoy. Maybe you like to play tennis. Maybe pick that up. Start taking tennis lessons. Whatever it is, just to get yourself in the routine of moving again, and continue to explore. Like I don't, yeah, I like the gym, but I take tennis. I love that. I love taking walks. So mix it up.
Absolutely. So I have a question. In addition to the fitness training and guidance you offer, it seems like you also emphasize the importance of mental and emotional wellness also. Do you incorporate that in your work with clients? And how important do you think that is to their overall success?
I think that is the number one piece to their success because I can lay out everything for a client to do perfectly. I can tell you everything you should eat or shouldn't eat. I can tell you what exercises to do. But if your mindset isn't there, that's
Mm-hmm.
huge. And in fact, it's so important that the next group program I do, I'm bringing in a therapist who's going to teach the
Mm-hmm.
mindset piece because it's so important. We can't do all of this other stuff if we've got that mental block. So it's extremely important.
Yeah, amazing. So another question, in your experience working with clients, what are some of the biggest challenges? And we might have just been talking about it, the mental piece, but some of the biggest challenges that people face when they're trying to improve their fitness and wellness overall, and how do they overcome that? Because, it can be tough trying to, like, how do I change my mindset? I mean, I know how to change my food. I just, physically change this thing. But it's like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Or are there other, big hurdles that people have to overcome in order to start to reach their fitness goals?
Yeah. There are hurdles that people need to overcome. Well, the first thing you have to ask yourself, are you ready and are you going to be committed? And be honest, because if you're not, that's fine. Take your time and then come back when you think you're ready to be committed because it's a lot of work. For me, who's been doing it all this time, it's like, you know, my normal routine. But when you haven't done this before, it's
Mhm.
very hard. And it's the first 30 days I tell folks is the most crucial time because I'm going to tell you certain things that you love to eat, you're not going to be able to eat that anymore. And that's,
What?
well, not forever, but we got to do a reset. And so that's very hard for some people, because some people they love that particular thing. Let's say it's ice cream because that's a comfort for them. It's more than just the taste. It's become this mental comfort. I I'm big on stress management because I see so many people um, who it'll be a stressful day at work or something will happen and they reach for the cookies or the soda or whatever it is. So it's a lot about watching what triggers you and trying to manage that. And that's
Mhm.
hard. So
Mhm.
that's where the mindset piece comes in. Like, you're stressed. That's why you're reaching for that bad stuff. But then how do we deal with the stress in a different way? So it's trying to get past those barriers. And like I said, it's not easy, but it's doable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And it sounds like it's going to be even more doable when you have someone walking beside you step by step, kind of holding your hand through the process so that you don't also feel alone in the process, because that may be another barrier for people. Is like, well, everybody else is fit. I'm the only one who has to get in shape. Now, we know that's not true at all, if we look around. But it can be easy to feel isolated and alone in the process. So, do you encourage people to kind of work out with someone else, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's really hard. It even is hard for me because there are certain things, particularly, for example, with my autoimmune disease, that I just simply can't eat.
Mm.
And you go to family functions and they look at you like, what do you mean you can't eat the macaroni and cheese? Like you used to eat it before. So it is very hard when you're trying to make a transition, um, when people around you don't understand. And it's not always that they don't support you, but they don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to find like-minded people. Yes, get yourself a personal trainer, for example, or join. What I love about my gym is that it's like a family. So while our trainer is there, if I miss a day, they're blowing me up on social media like, where were you? So find that community of people that you can kind of snuggle in with and that will support you and that kind of understand. And that doesn't mean you get rid of all your lifelong friends or buddies that may not be in that same place, but just understand that it's great to have a group of people or a person that can support you.
Yeah, I think that's a really critical piece because even for myself, I know the accountability piece is huge, having that group of people who I'm around. And so for that reason, I do a lot of group classes at the gym because like I know if I'm not there, they're going to be like, "Where were you?" and that helps. So it's like I use a trainer and all those things also, again, for that accountability and just to keep myself on track because, like, why would I want to push myself so hard? Like, if I go up on weight, it's
Yeah.
going to hurt and I know it. So, but when I have someone there, encouraging, saying, yeah, you can do more. And it's like, really? Yeah, I don't know. And they're like, no, you can. And then I do it and it's like you kind of surprise yourself. So yeah, I think it's extremely valuable having that community like what you're saying to support you in that process and other professionals who can help walk you through the process so that you can stay on track and actually accomplish your goals and not just be left at your own whims because a lot of us won't do it for that reason. But like you're saying, it can make the hard things easier when you have other people around you who are helping. And so that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Helping, cheering you on. And like you said, my personal trainer, I know what to do, but I keep a trainer because he sees things I don't see,
Mm-hmm.
and he pushes me in ways that I may not push myself.
Mm, yeah. Now, I do have a question because I know probably a lot of people are asking in their own minds. Okay, so if I have to cut out ice cream, can I ever have ice cream? Like, can we have some of those things sometimes? Or is it like, no, you're done and that's it?
No, absolutely. I mean, I will say, of course, because I have the autoimmune disease, there's certain things I just stay away from, period. But for someone that doesn't have that issue, absolutely. But the key is you can't have it every day. It's dessert is that it's a treat.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll talk to people and I say, well, what do your snacking look like? How much are you snacking every day? The junk food. Oh, I don't eat any junk food. And then I have them keep track of what they're eating, and then I think they're a little shocked when they see, okay, I am having a little more processed stuff daily that I didn't know. So it's trying to change those habits and paying closer attention to what you are eating
Mm-hmm.
and then treat yourself.
Absolutely. So, I mean, and that brings up a good point because, like you're mentioning, it's individual. So, because of the autoimmune condition, there are certain things for you to avoid. So, instead of making a blanket statement like no one can ever have dairy or gluten or, these things, you have to understand for yourself and your own body where those things fit in, and having that professional help and that coaching helps you figure those things out in the process. because it can be kind of tricky to figure out, what you can and cannot have, just for yourself. And I think nowadays there are a lot of alternatives and substitutes that, may be less of a trigger for certain people. So instead of depriving yourself all the time, like you said, having your treats, but planning for those things and not just doing those things all the time will be a benefit to your health in the long run and help to make things more sustainable, because some people are like, I can't live a life without chocolate, or whatever that one thing is for them. They're like,
Right.
yeah, just get rid of me now instead of going through it. But it doesn't have to be scary, and
Right.
you don't have to think that you won't have anything enjoyable or fun moving forward in the future. So
Exactly.
I want to know, for a lot of our listeners are really busy professionals, and when you're living that lifestyle, you might not have a lot of time for fitness and going to the gym and things like that. So, are there, and if there are, what are some simple but effective ways that they can incorporate fitness and exercise routines into their daily lives, just so they can be healthier and live a better life?
Yeah. Well, so I know everybody's not going to be like me, but one thing I had to do, I get up earlier.
Mm.
And that's how I get my gym time in. I know that I'm more of a morning person when it comes to fitness. If I wait until the afternoon or evening, it's not going to be a good workout. So I get up earlier. Um, and I challenge people to really look when we say we don't have time,
Mm.
really look at what you're doing every day and how you spend your time. People watch a lot, spend a lot of time on social media. They're watching various Netflix series. Really look at how you're spending your time and be honest with yourself, and figure out, could you set 30 minutes of that time that you spend on Facebook, for example, a day, and take a walk around your neighborhood, or uh, take a class. Be honest with yourself, and you got to be radical about it. Like I said, I get up
Mm.
super early because going to the gym on my lunch hour, it just wasn't working for me. I was distracted. I want time where I'm not distracted, time where I'm not looking at my watch, thinking, oh my God, I have to finish this because I got to go pick up my daughter. I want uninterrupted mental and physical time. And that for me is 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm not saying
Mm.
everybody got to do that, but be radical with your time. And
Yeah.
one thing I did is I made radical shifts. That job that was stressing me out, I'm not there anymore. I had to, especially after I was diagnosed with the autoimmune disease, I had to make a choice. And I chose me, and I chose life. So that's what I would say to the listeners. Choose you and choose life. And whatever that looks like, whatever life is, yeah, we all need jobs. I get it. But if something happens to you, that job is going to keep going without you. So choose
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think it goes back to prioritizing ourselves. We can replace a job, we can go get a new job, we can find a new stream of income, but we can't get another you. Like, once you're done, it's done. I can't, get another you from anywhere. So it's like, you are important,
Mhm.
and everyone is worth it. We might not always feel like it, but you are, because you're unique and can't be replaced. So yeah, we should be a priority in our lives, and worth it to make sure that our bodies are functioning very well and functioning optimally, where we feel good and enjoy our lives, and can expect some longevity along the way also. um That being said, is there anything that you want to leave everyone with? Like, are there some tips or just something that's, super important, some important concepts that you're like, y'all really need to get this today?
Yeah. As I was speaking and I said choose life, something came up that I wanted to mention. That not only includes your me time, going to the gym. Listeners, you have to go to the doctor. You have to get your checkups. You have to get your physicals. There are people that have the means. So it's not just, the society and the media, I don't know who it is, makes it seem like that it's folks that don't have the means that don't go to the doctor. That's not true. We are not getting our checkups like we're supposed to. If you're eligible, women are not getting mammograms. We're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. We're not feeling well. We know we don't feel well, and we are waiting until it gets really bad. So make sure, in addition to working out, yeah, all that's great. But if you're not going in and you're not getting your physicals and you're not checking to make sure that everything is okay, that is a problem. So that's a big part of this too.
Absolutely. Just doing those basic maintenance things. A lot of things can be found or avoided or modified when you don't wait too long. And it doesn't have to be a scary thing. And, how many days, how long can we say, I'm too busy, I'm too busy, I'm too busy? We have to, like you said, factor those things in and make the time for it and make sure that we are here and that we are having a life that we are able to contribute and actually enjoy it at the same time. A lot of us have families, a lot of us have, other reasons for being around, and that's worth it. So yes, I 100% agree with that. Awesome. So I want to know, where can our listeners find you? Where can they connect? Where can they reach out if they want to know more?
Sure. Well, I have the podcast called Go Hard Chick, so they can find me on just about every podcast platform, Spotify, Apple. You can listen to episodes there. I try to focus on the 8 pillars of wellness. My last episode, I had someone, a podiatrist, come on about foot health, which was really interesting and fascinating. Got a new episode coming out soon where we're going to talk about chiropractic health. But we've talked about everything from mental health to dieting to physical health, trauma. So I try to offer a wide range of topics that people can use in their healing journey. Also, they can go to my website, gohardchick.com, to learn more about me and programs that I offer. I sign up for my email list. I put out a weekly email where I share health tips and information. Of course, I'm on Instagram. The podcast page is Go Hard Chick. My personal page is Chris Elise Fit. So yeah, join the party. We are all about health and wellness for women.
Awesome. This has been amazing. I really enjoyed today's episode. And I hope everybody else did too, and that we learned a lot. I know I did. I learned plenty and felt that
And thank
little
you.
poke for motivation like, okay, you can do more. Maybe there are some things that you need to, get on top of. And so let's do it and not sit on those things and actually make it happen because I think your story is inspiring because it shows people that you can make a difference and it can happen for you, no matter where you're starting from. This is your own individual journey and we can, make a better life and make a better future for ourselves. We just have to kind of take those steps and get into gear and move and do something about it. So awesome.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's been wonderful having you here today. Thank you everybody for tuning in into today's episode of the DocMo Show with our special guest, fitness guru, Kristal Holmes, and creator of GoHardChick.com. I truly hope you found her insights on fitness and changing your life helpful and inspiring. And just remember, for everybody, even making small changes to your lifestyle, like the smallest, tiniest little changes, can have a big impact on your overall health. So if you feel like it's too overwhelming, pick one thing that you heard or one thing that inspired you, and just do it. Put it into action. And so that can absolutely change your overall health and well-being. And I encourage you all to start implementing some of the tips you learned today into your daily routine. Also, don't forget to join me on the next episode, where we'll be right back with more valuable insights on mastering your health naturally so you can take your health to the next level. Thanks for listening, and until next time, this is DocMo signing off. Bye, everybody.